Well, once again, the Enterprise is sent to, well, not exactly conduct a diplomatic mission, but aid in one. So there's this super duper pooper scooper negotiator guy who's just the best in the biz and all that stuff. So they go to get him, and apparently they didn't really understand much about him. Turns out he's deaf, and as a result, mute, I guess, or maybe he was mute anyway. But anyway, he was deaf. But it's okay because he's got 3 interpreters that are telepathic, and they all speak through him. That's basically their job. They had 3 of them because the 3 of them represent his different moods and emotions. I don't know why that was necessary. It seems like if you had one telepath that you can directly speak through, that would have worked. But man, oh boy, did they get a break or anything? But anyway, that was the deal. That's how he communicated. And all that, and it's awkward and all this sort of thing. But right off the bat, he zeroes in on Troy, and he's really creepy about it and everything. But hey, he's deaf, so they let it go. And then apparently Troy's okay with it, seems to like it. So they go to this war-torn world. It's all devastated by this war that's been going on, and so they're desperate, and they wanted this, super duper pooper scooper negotiator to come in and fix it for him. So he shows up, but one guy just can't bring himself to go along with the peace deal, so he lashes out and murders all 3 of the guy, what was his name? Riva, I believe. His crew, his telepathic crew there, and they're just wiped out. And so they immediately have to beam out of there and all this stuff. And they're like, oh no. So, of course, he's all upset. And fortunately, Data can learn sign language within a few seconds, so he does, and so he can interpret what he's saying and all that. But at the same time, he's upset because that's how he communicates, what he's used to, and plus they were, like family to him and all this, and suddenly they're wiped out. So he's like, forget it, this is over, I can't do it anymore. But he's the only one the 2 sides would trust to do the negotiating, and all that. So eventually they hit upon the idea, hey, why not teach them sign language so they can learn how to communicate with you? And in doing so, they'll learn something about each other, And so, all right, they go with that. They leave him on the planet and hightail it out of there. He said, hey, this could take months. Yeah. So, but in the months of learning sign language, they won't be going to war. So I guess it works out. I don't know if he later tries that trick elsewhere, because they do have quite a few wars break out through the series. There's other diplomatic missions they have that are very dangerous and contentious and all that. And they never mentioned this guy. So did they end up killing him anyway and just going on with their war and wiped each other out? Or is he just still working at it, I don't know. But all in all, it's an interesting take on it. And it's this idea of, hey, you know what? If we all got together and we're learning a new craft or new talent or skill, that's a way to come together. Maybe that's what the world needs, So it's just that simple. But it was all right, I suppose, as far as it goes. The next one, much better, and where we delve somewhat in the background of Data a little bit. Mostly it's, about an old man's fear of death and feelings for a woman who's far too young for him and that sort of thing. But this guy, turns out, was a mentor to Dr. Sung, and so quite accurately requires Data call him Grandpa. It's, I thought it was funny. So anyway, he's this old bastard who likes to hit on women. He hits on the Vulcan chick who is hot, but she's Vulcan, so hits on Troy, all that stuff. But the truth is, he's had this young assistant who's with him for whatever reason. I don't know how she ended up there. Oh, I think she was orphaned or something, but then, but he's a dirty old man, so of course, but, he always kept that to himself for the most part, even though it's probably obvious with him. But then he's dying. He's got this terminal illness, and he doesn't have long for this world. And he was developing this machine to put his knowledge and memories and everything into it as well as data. Get it? And then suddenly in his conversation with Data, he realizes, hey, wait a minute. Why not put all that in Data? And he does, and it's successful. His personality takes over Data. Data starts hitting on the blonde chick. He gets jealous because he thinks Picard's moving in on her. He becomes quite the asshole because that's who this guy was. Ira Graves was the name, yeah. And so it's not bad. It's a pretty good episode. And then there's this business of when it's your time, it's your time. Even though Data's not really alive, but they see him that way. And ultimately, he decides to give up, and his knowledge is ultimately transferred into the computer as originally intended. There's just no consciousness there, they said, because Data is capable of producing a consciousness, hence the idea that he is a sentient life form as far as the series is concerned. However, there's still the problem here ultimately, because this is the same thing with what they did in the stupid Picard series. This is a copy of Ira Graves. The old man died in his room when he was setting up Data to take this information, when Data said, hey, I've got an on-off switch. Oh, do you now? So, of course, he used the on-off switch to take over Data. Data, when are you going to learn? But anyway... But he succumbed to his illness, but all his knowledge and memories and everything was saved, but also his personality was able to maintain itself in there. But still, that's the same idea of, it's not some mystical supernatural thing where your soul goes into another body or something like that, where he's possessing Data. It's the information of him. And up to that moment, a recording of him survived, whereas the real him died. So, you had the facsimile here lives on the life that you wished you could have had, because ultimately his main desire was to be with this woman, and now he's in albeit an android body, but, certainly younger. Looks that way anyway. So it's like, hey, now we can hook up and everything. And then he went on to tell her, hey, don't worry. I know you're thinking you'll get old. Well, I'm going to build you an android body. And boy, I'm going to make it really hot and stuff, too. And then she's freaked out, she's, I don't want to be an android and all that stuff. So it all falls apart, And poor Ira Graves just had to learn the hard way. You just can't have nice things, at least not forever. So it was a good episode. It was better than the previous one, and ultimately, all the themes there and what have you played out. And so yeah, that was a pretty good one. That was pretty good.